It's Thursday, May 19th, 2022. Welcome into the Fun Astrology Podcast. Thomas Miller, thanks so much for stopping by. We have one major aspect today and one that I'm going to go back and kind of put the two together here a little bit. And this one will make any financial astrologer's ears look like Spock's. I mean, they will perk up like crazy. The sun is trining retrograde Pluto. This is happening at 28 degrees, 30 minutes, the time on that 8:10 a.m. Eastern this morning. And then I'm combining this with the action that's going on up in the later degrees of Pisces and the early degree of Aries, where you have Neptune, Mars, and Jupiter. That whole cluster is in a sextile, both sides, to Pluto and to the sun. Sextiles both ways. And not telling you anything you're not fully aware of, we are still in the shadow period or the backwash or the waning period of the eclipse and the full moon. I did have a listener question. I'm not going to play it here because some of the audio was a little bit off, but they were asking basically what to expect with Pluto in the later degrees related to the eclipse specifically, but we can bring it right in here too. And Robert Glasscock talked about this in Old Soul, New Soul. I believe it was the episode on the USA chart, USA eclipse chart. So really where we need to begin with this is the theme that Pluto is wrapping things up in Capricorn. Capricorn is representing all the old structures of government. Well, any kind of old structure. I mean, think of the old structures in your own life. I mean, we don't have to be looking at all the macro on this. Look at what old structures are still standing in your own life that you know of. You know they're there. Triggers, points of resistance, things that you fall back into naturally, old ways of being or natural ways of being. What about the characteristics of your south node? All of these things could be in the sights of Pluto's transformation of these old structures. And often that creates within us an internal battle. We don't want to give up what's been comfortable. And when you look at it from the perspective of the South Node, we don't want to give up what we've lived with multiple lifetimes and we've gotten really good and dysfunctional at. That's why we brought it forward. And it's obviously what's going on in the collective as well, as Pluto is just sitting there staring at these old structures and saying, I'm about to change signs. You got to go. I've been patient here in Capricorn for almost 20 years, giving you all kinds of opportunities. You got to go. So to whatever level and degree this shakeup that we're under right now, which I still say is under Saturn and Pluto, January 2020, the old is being transformed, it's being renewed, and just like the caterpillar to butterfly analogy, eventually we are going to morph and in essence die to the old cocoon and then reemerge as something much more beautiful. On that timeline, we probably are more like the caterpillar starting to weave the cocoon. And because we're talking about this slowest mover of them all, unless we consider Eris, we are talking about not months, not weeks, folks, years, even decades. So even as we bring Saturn into this conversation, which also is squaring the sun, we have to be thinking long game here. That's both in your life and in the collective. So just setting expectations. You remember back to January 2020, early February? Everybody thought this pandemic thing, this virus that was going around would be gone within a month. Saturn and Pluto, long game. Those of you who have been with us for a while here know that my MO now that I understand that my chart personally is geared toward transformation. I try to get out in front of these things and be looking for areas to transform. I'm on the watch for it. Most people don't live that way, I know. You know that story about the boy in the room with the elephant? He says there's got to be a light switch in here somewhere. Well, I keep looking for the light switch. It's got to be in here somewhere. There's something else in my life that can transform. Find it. Here's one. Go for it. What can I do? 3 action steps. Boom. That's living into your chart. That's working with the energies. I would say that 90-something% of most people instead resist. I mean, it's almost like there's something about being human. We have to breathe oxygen. We have to ingest food in order to sustain ourselves. And we have to resist change. So when you ask what's going on with Pluto in these later degrees, it's all about the resistance. It's about those last walls come tumbling down. And we have this very, I'm going to say, benefic, assisting, encouraging energy with Pluto trining the sun right now, because it's just giving us this little window of opportunity. The sun moves so fast relative to Pluto that it's giving us this little brief opportunity to sit down with our journal, tune in to our intuition, sextile to Neptune, capture some areas that come up in that silence and solitude and being with your soul. What can I work on? What can I work on? And bringing those up and just allowing the process of Pluto's reconstruction for something better. This is not to be feared. I know there's been a lot of angst around all of the things going on right now, and what we have to do is steer our ship straight into our own transformation within everything that's going on, to realize that we came here during this time for a very specific reason. And I think when all is said and done, we're going to look back at this and realize that it was the most exciting time to be on the planet. And our challenge is to stay on the high consciousness side of the chart. That's it. That's my new message. So you have Pluto that wants to transform. You have Neptune that is your radar to the home office, as my buddy Hemant, who will be here next week, says. We'll have to get Hemant to pop in here and say hi to you. I'm sure that will be fun. We'll enjoy that. And then you have the sun, which is you. And yes, those are in the later 28 degrees of their respective sign, 25 degrees for Neptune. Mars is moving in between Neptune and Jupiter. Now it will be at a midpoint soon. That's just going to put more octane into this whole process. In fact, in such a way that as things come up, you can change them more quickly. You can identify them more quickly. You can put the pounce on them. Jupiter in Aries. Put the pounce on it. Boom, go, Mars, Jupiter, Aries, let's get her done, right? Move it. I'm thinking of that Bob Newhart video on YouTube that I love, where he's playing the therapist, and for $5, he's going to answer the lady's question who is afraid of being confined in a box. And he says, well, I'm going to give you 2 words. She says, should I write them down? He says, well, you can if you'd like. We find that most people can remember them. What are the 2 words? Stop it! It's the therapy. Stop it! Well, this is move it. It's like this is a time in my book to be proactive with our life. Be in action. Don't be asleep. All right, that's enough for today. Thank you guys for listening. Thanks for the extra time. Have a wonderful day. We'll see you back for TGI Friday tomorrow.